Welcome back to Get the Facts. We are reviewing aspects of the 2023-2024 budget presentation by Prime Minister Andrew Holness with financial analyst Dennis Chung. All right, Sir Chung, let's jump into some of the social reforms, because a big thing that we've ended on last was people first. Now, the list is pretty extensive. An increase of minimum wage, $13,000 per 40-hour work week, $14,000 weekly for industrial security guards, pension, $3,000. NHT benefits were increased for single and joint applicants. There was the bit about student loans, PATH applicants and PATH students not needing guarantors. Internships, PPV operators had fees waived, that sort of thing. The list goes on and on. People first. What do you think is the outcome of all of this coming together?
All right, so I like all of them, particularly the ones about the PATH, students not needing a guarantee, the increase in pensions, the increase in home benefits from NHT. Those in particular I like. The others, a lot of people talk about minimum wage, but for me, that is more productivity that's going to drive that, right, in terms of benefits. But as a short-term measure, I think it's very good. Government has to ensure that at least the minimum wage that you're offering to people is consistent with what you consider the subsistence that people need to live. But what it shows is, number one, that the fiscal management has been paying off, because we can't afford to do all of these things and not be running up a fiscal deficit, which means that there has been prudent fiscal management. The second thing, though, is that what it is showing is that efforts are being made now to level the playing field and give people more opportunities. If we did not make the sacrifices before, we would not be in the position that we are in now to do this, right, without running into a fiscal crisis again. So I believe that the presentation is saying, hey, we have done all of this and we are now in a position, because we're paying less in terms of debt charges, debt to GDP, and we are in a position now to actually level the playing field and do it on a sustainable basis, not a one-time basis, but a sustainable basis. And that, for me, is the important message that comes out of this. So it's all about fiscal management and fiscal prudence, that is causing all of this. And therefore, I expect that if we continue on the path that we're on, we're going to be able to do even more and create more opportunities for people to better themselves. And that's how you grow societies. That's how you make sure that people are better off in societies, by ensuring that you make the early sacrifices to get a greater benefit in the future, rather than what we were doing before for a very long time in this country, is basically spending money before we earn it. What we're saying now is, let's earn it first and then we spend it, which is the way for us to go.
Understood. Infrastructure development was part of it as well, and this one had a bit of a mixed reaction, I think. People were maybe a little ambivalent towards it. What can I get now? Infrastructure is something a little further down the road, at least. But how do you see this factoring in?
Infrastructure development is very, very, very important. If we have good roads, for example, it means that people can move around quicker. It means that you'll have less traffic on the road, which means greater productivity. Greater productivity means more money in your pocket, right? If we have good infrastructure, the Prime Minister mentioned the fact that we've had a drought and we've not really had a big water problem. Why? Because we invested a lot in the NWC pipes, right? If we did not do that, we'd have a problem. Infrastructure development, again, we need to ensure that we have proper drainage, because when we don't and we have the heavy rains, it causes a whole lot of untold damages and reduction in productivity. So infrastructure is key, right? It's like thing about the story about the man who built his house on the sand and one who built it on the rock. The rock is the infrastructure. If you have poor infrastructure, your house is going to fall down because it's on the sand. So we have to ensure that we build a proper, strong, sustainable infrastructure system, on the rock. And I think that is what we're doing with all of these things. Road networks. if we have with farm roads, for example, it costs the farmer less for the produce to come to market, which means that the cost is passed on to us. So we have lower prices to pay. If we have a good irrigation system, which he spoke about, right? That we need better irrigation in St. Elizabeth, which we've been talking about for a long time in this country, then it means that prices are not going to go up because production is not going to be cut, when there is a drought, because we have the infrastructure to ensure that we're still productive. So infrastructure contributes to good productivity, and therefore, it's key for growing.
I really appreciate the point-to-point comparison that you just made, because that really does help people to see it not from the perspective of something that doesn't directly affect me, but as something that is a comprehensive part of all of us rising. Now, we're in the tail end of our interview, and I just want to give you a few minutes to summarize the Prime Minister's budget presentation and highlight your key takeaways just before we close.
Yeah, so the Prime Minister's presentation, I think, was very good, because for me, it's speaking to something that I've been speaking to for a long time, right? The budget is about improving lives. Budget is not about numbers. Even me as an accountant, I know that the reason why you do budgets is to improve an organization and improve the lives of the persons within the organization. And that is what I think the focus of the Prime Minister was, and why for me, it was a very good presentation, even better than the finance ministers from that perspective, right? Because I think that it was about looking at the lives and how we can improve the lives. What I would have loved to hear, and I did not hear, is the whole matter of the public transportation system improvement, because that for me is critical. I think that is going to be addressed in the sectoral debate based on certain things I've heard in the news, like a new school bus for Old Harbour High, right?
Yes.
But if you can move people around efficiently, that's the greatest production that you can get.
Right.
And that's what I'd have loved to hear. But, the fact is that overall it was a good presentation.
All right, thank you so much for that summary. People first. This has been Get the Facts. Our guest was financial analyst Dennis Chung. Thank you so much for speaking with us, Mr. Chung. And thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Take good care.